All right, y'all, what up, what up, what up, what up? My name is Caitlin Sherman, okay? You will refer to me as KTV from here on out, all right? Listen, I've been talking about doing this video series for so long, it'll make no sense, all right? The whole issue has been whether or not to do it or how to do it, to really say the least. But the time has finally come for me to finally do the video series and tell y'all about what really happened to me at college, all right? So I'm going to just be honest with you. Listen, this is going to be raw. I'm going to give you all trigger warnings and everything, probably on every video sometimes, just so I can let you know what really happened to me at school. And some of y'all going to look at it like, ooh, she telling all her business. I mean, if you want to take it that way, take it that way. But the whole point is just to make sure that no kid ends up just like me, you know? And at the end of the day, what I realized, life is really about helping other people. And if I could help a young kid not go through the same exact thing as me, man, I'm gonna make sure that happens. So here we are. I want to specifically talk about today about my first interaction with a therapist, okay? And just to say this, I 100% feel like therapists are the best and that everyone should have one. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the story. So I'm sitting in the office with a staff member, okay? And the staff member is talking to us about some of the things we're going to need as we are, students, becoming students at UNC. We're first years, let's not say that word. We're first years, and we've probably only been on campus for 2-3 weeks, tops, okay? I'm sitting there with one of my teammates, and the staff member is like, listen, like, y'all should really think about getting a therapist. And we was like, a therapist? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we don't do that, you feel me? Like, we don't be doing that. You doing too much, bro. You doing too much. And it was like, no, seriously, like, don't come in here with that type of attitude because it's not sweet. And you should really think about it because it would be very helpful. There's been plenty of people who sat in the same spot that you have sat and said the same exact thing and did not take advantage of that access to these therapists, and things did not turn out well for them. So maybe you should think of something differently. So I was like, okay, cool. We changed the subject, yada, yada, yada. So after we leave and me and my teammate are talking about it, I was like, I think I'm going to go check out the therapist. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You know what I'm saying? And my teammate was like, I'm not doing that. Like, Sherm, I'm not doing that. Whatever. So fast forward, I end up setting up my appointment, and the day of the appointment, I ain't gonna lie, I get a little nervous. I'm like, I don't know about this. So I called my teammate. I'm like, yo, did you ever sign up to go see the therapist? And I was like, no, bro, I told you I wasn't doing it. And I was like, well, listen, today is my appointment. I was like, are you free at this time? I was like, you could just come with me. I was like, so we both can go, and at least we'll both have like emotional type of support or something like that. So my teammate was like, yeah, I'll come. So anyway, we go and we see the therapist, right? We get a black therapist too at that. So we was like, okay, little black lady. We like, all right. And we told them, we introduced ourselves like, I'm such and such. I'm on track and field team. I'm such and such, track and field team, da da da. She's like, okay, cool. And she starts telling us about herself, like who she is and like what she's done on campus and all this other good stuff. Overall, we had a good meeting. And I will say, our typical meeting with this lady was a little bit different than everyone else because a typical like therapy appointment is going to go something with like you filling out the questionnaire of like more so like, why are you there? What are you looking for? Your therapist may say a little bit about themselves, but it won't be probably as much time as she spent just telling us who she was. You would just kind of spend more time trying to figure out like, why are you here? Like, how can I help you? Like, how can I assist you? And if you are struggling to speak on why you're there, that's what those questionnaires are for. They're going to ask you like, how do you feel on a normal day-to-day? Like, 1 being terrible, sad, like, you don't want to be here type. And 10 is, I feel great, I'm happy, I'm ecstatic. How do you feel about your classes? And, like, they give you these points of measurements of where you're feeling, like how you're feeling, you get to mark that off, which I think is so amazing. If you're one of those people who struggle, really talking about what's going on, you have that paper where they can already go ahead and, like, oh, I noticed X, Y, and Z. So I think that's really cool. But anyway, long story short, we get out of our meeting, and funny story here. my teammate enjoyed the therapy session, but I didn't really care too much for it. I was like, I think the therapy session was cool. I just don't think the therapist suited me personally. Okay. And my teammate was like, really? That's crazy. Cause I'm about to go set up my appointment right now. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. And I'm happy that, you found you someone, but I was like, I think I'm gonna just go look for another therapist. Okay. So fast forward, like, I think it was like a week and a half later, we talking to a staff member, okay, and we telling them about something that's going on in class and all this other stuff, and like how hard it has been to literally go to practice, go to class, go to rehab, and keep up with all this stuff. I'm like, bro, it's not enough time in the day. Like, I swear I'm missing meals. I swear I was missing meals. And some crazy stuff, I really was missing meals. I lost like 15 pounds like in my first 3 months there. That don't even make no sense, but that's a whole nother conversation for real. And we just, expressing to the staff member what's going on with us. And then they said something like, that's why such and such said X, Y, and Z, da-da-da-da. You like, what? What'd you just say? And we like, so our therapist told you what we said at the meeting? And the staff member like, yeah, that's my girl. What you talking about? Bruh. So me and my teammate looking at each other like, I thought that was confidential, like I can't believe that someone would go and repeat what we said. And now the staff member is talking to us like, that's why X, Y, and Z is happening, because you're doing X, Y, because you're doing this, and this. And we're just sitting there like, oh my God, like, no. So that conversation clearly didn't go well. So me and my teammate, I remember when we left, that was a quiet walk back to Carmichael, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe we just had something like this happen. And my teammate was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and cancel my appointment because clearly I'm not going back. And I was like, I knew I wasn't feeling that person. I was like, but I still think that's crazy that something like that happened. It kind of ended up becoming a problem later on because I didn't ever go see a therapist again, I think, until it was my sophomore year in college. I went to go see a sports therapist. The sports therapist we had, it was either sophomore or junior year. I can't really remember. But that was more so because my coach was like, you better go find some help or you gonna get some help somewhere else, to say the least, okay? And so I really didn't have a choice. It was kind of more so like either I got to show that I'm trying to work or trying to fix whatever is going on, or they might give me the boot. I'm just going to be honest. So I went to go see a sports therapist again, but I was very hesitant because of what happened to me the first time. And I just kind of told the lady straight up, like, I don't want another situation happen to me like what happened last time. And she was like, no, that's not going to happen. Like, that should have never happened. Like, she was breaking the law. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. So long story short, I ended up going to therapy again. I actually had 2 or 3 different therapists after that session with my sports therapist. And I want to say, like, therapy is phenomenal. Like, I would 12 out of 10 recommend, for real. Like, because they're very helpful. Even though I had that weird situation, all those other therapists really had a huge impact on my life. Like, they really did. And a lot of times I feel like people like to sweep under the rug, like mental, problems aren't really a thing, but they really are, and especially with running track and honestly life in general, mental is so important. Like, if you can't control your mind, if you just aren't together here, like, life isn't together, period. And I just feel like it's so important for us to start opening these doors and open our mind to, like, therapists and stuff like that, even though I did have a bad experience with my first time. And I wonder how different my experience would have been if I would have had a positive experience my first time, or just me having intrepid and being like, just because I had a bad experience with one person doesn't mean that, everything is like that. Because sometimes we're like that in life. Sometimes we have a bad incident with someone, and we're like, oh, I'm never doing that again. Or, like, sometimes you eat something, you're like, oh, it's disgusting. Like, I'm done. I'm never eating that again. But maybe they didn't cook it right. Or maybe it was, not the right time, or whatever it may be. And yeah, I was just like, okay, I kind of want to start talking about what really happened, you know, and how much of an impact it had. And I really also want to encourage people, please, please, please go to therapy. It's so cool. But I do want people to know that my first time in therapy was outrageous, okay? And not to say that's going to happen to anyone, but it definitely caused problems later on, which you will hear about in the next video. But that's all I got for y'all today. I hope y'all living well, being great, being grand, all right? And have a good rest of your day. I'm out, humans.